Today, we are going to be interviewing Savio Kwan. Savio Kwan is a former COO of Alibaba. He's also a graduate from LBS, and he did a Master of Science some time ago, back in 1976. So let me welcome Savio. Savio, good afternoon. I think you are in Hong Kong.
Hello, Luisa. Yeah, good to see you.
We are going to go back to 2003. And there was also a similar crisis in Hong Kong, in China, in the world, which was the epidemic of SARS. So also like a health-related type of crisis as the one we are living now. Can you tell us a little bit about what happens when the crisis started?
We suddenly hit this SARS situation. In about May, the whole company was locked down at home, all 600 people from headquarters, because one of us had a suspected SARS situation. So you can imagine how this rhymes very much with today, because SARS is the previous version of the 2019 coronavirus. It was quite widespread. The whole of China actually was suffering from the epidemic, and also the world. Hong Kong had a lot of people died. About 300 people actually in Hong Kong died as a result of that. A month or so before the lockdown, I have the staff coming to me saying that, Savio, with the SARS going on, it might be possible that we might have to work from home. Therefore, can I have some money to buy some broadband, to move my equipment at home? So I remember dishing out several 100,000 RMB, which is a lot of money. Our engineers did one thing very important, is that they built a telephone platform that allows any callers into the company's telephone numbers to be picked up by anybody from their home location. So suddenly, one of our member who was supposed to be a suspected SARS case were taken away and put into isolation in a hospital. And then 6 hours later, all of us, all 600 people at the headquarters were locked down at home.
Let me ask you a question. 600 people, I mean, working from home from one day to the other is very difficult. Some people might be well connected, but how many of the people were actually able to work from home?
Everyone was working from home. Nobody was directing anything. So Jack was calling the hospital every day because we had 2 other cases of suspected SARS at the time. And so Jack, the founder, Jack Ma, the founder, was calling the hospital. I had a list of all our 600 people with their telephone number, and I was calling them every day for 2 weeks. And everybody who received my call answered as if it is just a normal call, as if they were working at the office. And then they say, Alibaba ni hao, which means that this is Alibaba, hello, Alibaba.
So you were responsible for the operations. I cannot imagine the thousand of calls that you were receiving from the employees. Everybody probably was very stressed out that they have to be at home.
There was no time for emotion. So the kind of a most a touching example was once I called the young lady's mobile number, and then the answer wasn't the angelic voice of hello Alibaba, but a baritone, hello Alibaba. So I think, who the hell is this? And then he said, sir, I'm Alibaba, and if you have a problem with the platform, I can help you. And start telling me what to do. If I have whatever problem I have, then I realized this is the daddy. Because I told him, I'm Savio. Oh, he said, oh, she's up there with her mother trying to help another customer on the internet.
The whole family is supporting the person that was at home. Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I broke down and cried.
So actually this became like a way of, for the culture of the company, probably united, like the employees being even more into the company.
what is driving everybody to work so hard and even get their family. And some of them are not family. Some of them are just people who they used to share an apartment with. They have nothing to do with Alibaba, and they were picking up the phone and answering. And then they say, well, it is simple, Savio, because the top Alibaba value was a customer being number one. And we are in this situation where we can be locked down, but we cannot stop our service to our customers.
Savio, and now going forward now to the current situation, and you are now an investor in many companies. What are the challenges that these companies are facing?
Suddenly, everybody is forced to innovate. One other example was very great example of a startup in China that me and my partner sponsor is a company that does internet hospital. So they are actually treating people, diagnosing people by remote control. You're not talking about hundreds of people. You're talking about tens of millions of people. So this company has been doing that, and then answering more than a couple 100 million people's requests on coronavirus during the past 3 months. I think if you are an offline company, then you are actually facing a big problem. But most of the people that I work with are actually lucky because they're in the online space. So their traffic went up. Their revenue actually went up. Similar to the Alibaba SARS situation 17 years ago. I remember our traffic went up 7 times in that month, and our cash profit went up 5 times. So we actually broke even during 2002, and we were looking for scaling up to make sure that we prove the model is actually working, capable of scaling. And SaaS actually brought the scaling opportunity to Alibaba B2B business, which is really remarkable. So the business scaled up more than 10, 20 times in a year, just from 2002 to 2003. We were talking about double-digit growth every month.
And from the perspective of operations, those numbers are huge. So probably put a lot of pressure on you because scaling up so rapidly, and especially when it's unexpected, because if you are planning for that, then you can, do investments in more servers or whatever you need. But when it just happened, we have seen here, for example, in the UK, some of these companies that are doing online e-commerce, that they are failing because there is so much demand that they cannot cope. So the app doesn't work. They are not able to deliver on time.
One key thing there I remember is our training for our salespeople at the time is like 4 weeks offline at the headquarters at Hangzhou, just training a salesperson. We kept that up. I think that is really paid a lot of dividends.
So basically what I'm hearing here is that you have to take always profit from these challenges to basically make an opportunity. But yes, very important, you were saying investing in people, training. So I was going to ask you, you did a master in LBS many years ago, but do you still remember some of your classes? Which were the lessons that you learned?
The things that I really remember were the organization behavior things, which was really very soft when we first look at it. So Charles was talking about second curve. Charles was talking about a conceptualization of your business model and things like that. So those are actually things that I start teaching the Alibaba people without telling them. That actually is quite a higher level theory, which people really take to very quickly. But other things are useful because they were discipline for my business theory and training and upbringing. But the work with people, how do you get them to work with you? Really actually counts. Then, of course, strategy that you have to not only know how to do, but know how to win. So that is really quite key.
My colleagues from the Department from Strategy are going to be very happy to hear you saying that. Finally, we are reaching a little bit the end of the interview. Could you maybe share 2-3 tips with entrepreneurs that are now facing this complicated situation, both in their businesses, probably also in their families?
Number one advice, and almost like a request, is do not give up and don't let your business die. But once your business dies, then the whole thing is there's no return. And secondly, is to really take the opportunity and ask, what is the opportunity after we survive? How are we going to make sure that our business model would be adapting to a new future? And thirdly, is ask the question of the company culture, especially the mission. Mission means this is what we do. This is the kind of value that we give. Like at Ali, it is, let's make doing business easy. That is Alibaba's mission, also the company's value proposition. So how do we make sure our company value, by value, I mean behavior, by everybody in the company actually supports that?
I think it's super interesting what you are saying is this idea of going back to basics and think why you are there and why, forget about do all the other things you're doing, but what's key, how do you deliver value to the customers? And also this idea of hang out there, survive, because if you die, it's game over. But if you are still there, then you can recover. And I also like a lot the idea, how do you prepare? Because this is going to finish at some point. So make sure that you are ready when this is over to continue going and even with stronger if possible, right?
Yeah, don't miss the second curve.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. Well, I think you're giving us a very positive message here, Savio. I think it will be good if we can get more people to share their stories as Savio just did. Thank you very much for being with us today. And it's been a pleasure talking to you and listening from your own experience.
Thank you, Luisa. Bye.
Bye, Savio.